I'd like to welcome everybody to the Planning Advisory Committee meeting for the town of Quispamsis for Tuesday, December 10th. We'll move on to item number 2, approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kendall. Motion carried. Agenda is presented. Disclosures of interest. Any disclosures of interest tonight? On being, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of previous minutes. Have a motion to approve, please.
I'll move that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kendall. I'll second it. Thank you, Mark. Please vote. Motion carried. Business arising from the minutes, notice of decision. Item 5A is amendment to the notice of decision to 22 Myrtles Way, approved by the PAC at the November 26th meeting. Additional term and condition was added by staff to clarify the number of bedrooms is limited to 3. Jennifer, can you please introduce this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members. The memo, the notice of decision that was provided at the last PAC meeting did neglect to include the total number of bedrooms. There was some discussion around the septic system that was approved for that lot. It is an undersized lot for the 2-family unit. There are a total of 3 bedrooms, and the development officer felt that it warranted to be a condition in the notice of decision, and that's why it's being brought back. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. Can I have a motion to approve additional term conditions added to notice of decision for 22 Myrtles Way, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kendall.
It's Kendall.
I'll second it. Thank you, Mark. Please vote. And item 5B, again, receive and file the notice of decision. We need to have a motion to file and receive this decision.
I can make that motion again, Mr. Chairman. It's
Okay,
Kendall.
moved by Kendall, second by Mark. Motion carried. All right. Moving, no unfinished business, move on to item 7A, 236 Hampton Road, which is the rezoning of 236 Hampton Road, PID 00251843 and 302405527 from single to 2-family residential R1 to integrated development ID to accommodate an aging in place community. Jennifer, can you introduce us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members. We have before us an application to rezone 236 Hampton Road from single or 2-family R1 residential to integrated development. This is to provide for an aging in place community with 62 units, a 33-unit apartment building, and included as well as 22 bedroom duplexes, or 2 bedrooms and 9 single bedroom units, some of which do contain an attached garage. The 2 bedroom units do contain an attached garage, and the single units are just parking in the yard only. The proposed zoning amendment does also include a municipal plan change, and that the identification on the municipal map will need to change from single-family to integrated development if the proposed amendment is approved. Therefore, it did go through a public presentation. A public presentation was held on October 15th of this year. You're given 30 days after a public presentation to receive any concerns or comments from the general public. None were received during that time. The next phase will see this project go forward to the council for a public hearing, and that is next Tuesday night, December 17th, right here in council chambers, beginning at 6 p.m. The overall development will happen on 2 lots with a total area of 25,331 square meters. A lot consolidation would be an appropriate thing to do if the zoning amendment is approved, so that is one condition of approval that's recommended to the committee. We need to provide proposed street names. The PAC does approve the street names here in Quispamsis, and what's being proposed is for Street A, which is the smaller street that sort of wraps around the parking area below the apartment building, and that is being proposed for Solos Place. And Sunflower Crescent is being proposed for the larger lane or drive access that sort of is a crescent shape, so thought that was appropriate. The driving surface, the subdivision bylaw does require a 20-meter wide driving road right-of-way, whereas we're proposing a much smaller, reduced street right-of-way due to the fact that it's simply going to be accessing the dwelling units. There's no destination other than the dwelling units. It's a very contained and small area. So staff are comfortable in proposing a 6-meter hard surface with a 1.5-meter defined walking trail as part of the street right-of-way. These streets will become public when the project is complete. We can start talking about parking now, I guess. The parking requirements as per the zoning bylaw, 1.5 parking stalls per dwelling unit, whereas the proposed plan does identify, that would require 93 parking stalls if it would meet what was required of the zoning bylaw. However, there's only 79 parking stalls available, short by 14, so a variance would be required for the reduction in the parking stalls. There's also 2 small front yard setback variances that would be required, one in phase 1, one in phase 8, where we'd see a reduction of a triplex in phase 1. It's proposing a 7.5 meter setback to Hampton Road, where the bylaw does require a 15-meter setback, so it would require a 7.5 meter setback. And the apartment complex is going to be located 9.3 meters from the property line, again needing 15 meters, so it too will require a variance of 5.7 meters and is part of the terms and conditions. We do also have a requirement for a buffer that will run along any R1 property, abutting R1 property. I did ask the applicant to reach out to the designer for that, and we have actually received that already from them with on the site plan, it identifying that 3-meter buffer that's required. So glad to see that that has been provided. The lot is currently serviced by municipal sewerage services. However, there's no water service at the time. If it has been determined that the overall development could exceed 50 cubic meters of water a day. So therefore, an EIA may be required. The applicant will need to reach out to the Department of Environment and inquire as to if that EIA is a requirement of this process. If that is not a requirement, staff have included a sort of a caveat that if an EIA isn't required, we would require at that point a hydrogeological study to ensure that there is sufficient amount of water available to support the level of development that's being proposed. And that also is a term and condition. And as I explained, it is proposed to happen over 8 phases. So the first phase would see 2 buildings, sort of 2 buildings during each phase, with the final phase seeing the apartment building erected. So if that takes a period of 8 years to complete, there's hopes that the water will come down Hampton Road prior to the completion of the project. So that may weigh into some of this EIA consideration. One point to note that the Chair and I spoke about just earlier was that there may be it may be forward thinking for the applicant to install the water connection service at the time of development to avoid any disturbance later on. A stormwater management plan has been provided. It was reviewed by engineering and received a thumbs up from them saying that they were on the right track. It does include a storm attenuation pond at the front of the lot next to Hampton Road, but as PAC is aware, these have become quite normal ways to protect our community from stormwater. We also shared the plans with Superintendent of Utilities to understand if there was enough capacity in this sewage system to accept what would be added to the system, and I was advised that it can handle this level of development. Planning rationales provided by the applicant as part of your package, and the statements of public interest are available for your review. I'm open to any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll ask the applicant to come up to the podium, please. Introduce themselves to PAC. So,
Do I have to turn it on?
no, you're good now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself to the PAC, please. Introduce yourself to PAC.
Oh, sorry. My name's Judy Lane. I own the company Home Care by Design, which our office is right down the street. And we provide home care services to seniors. And our goal is to build housing now for people so that they can age in place. For those people who want to be able to stay at home, can't specifically live in their own homes. So this will provide a housing environment for them. We'll have caregivers living on site to help with any care needs or housekeeping, laundry, errands, things like that. I'm a nurse by trade. I have my business degree. I've been around the block a few times over the last 30 years.
Okay. You heard Jennifer's report. Is there anything you wanted to add to that before we open up the floor to PAC?
No, we do plan to do the connections. Both Jennifer and Dwight had mentioned that about the water connections, getting that done at the same time. Makes sense. And we do hope that the water is available before 8 years.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from members of the PAC? Oh, please stay up at the podium. Any questions from members of the PAC?
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, Mark here.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I have I believe it's a fantastic project, by the way, so congratulations. I've got a couple of questions. We're asking for a reduction of parking from the regular bylaw by about 14 units. So what happened to the visitors visiting the people living in those things? Where would they park if we're already short of parking?
Thank you. We are anticipating many of the seniors who will be moving in there won't have vehicles. Eventually, we'll be providing transportation, a wheelchair accessible van for people to get around, and our caregivers can drive that vehicle. So we don't see an abundance of seniors bringing their cars here. And the caregivers that will be living on site as well, They will be coming from out of country, so we're locating them there specifically because they don't have transportation, and it makes it hard for them to do their job in the valley. And this is a benefit to the seniors as well as to our company. So we don't see people having to, not be able to access the parking lot.
Okay, thank you. Another question. I see there is two access, one on each side of the multi-residential building there. Are they full access and egress driveway or or street, or they're just kind of right in and right out kind of?
Yeah, drive in and drive out. So you can
would-
drive the long way around where the garden homes are up back, or you can drive a shortcut around the parking lot and the apartment building.
Okay. Last question, I believe it is. How about garbage? I don't see any garbage container on the plan. Where would they be located if?
Yeah, is there a pointer? Oh, you are? Should I go over? It's
I
right.
don't see the screen, Chrissy. I don't see the screen here for information.
It's right in behind the parking lot. There's fenced-in area where the the garbage bins are, the big ones, and that will be
Okay.
for garbage collection. Each garden home will have their own bin to bring out, and remember that caregivers are on the property as well to carry it from their units out to the street.
Okay. No, those were my questions. Thank you very much, and congratulations. I think it's a fantastic project for the town of Quispamsis.
Thank you.
Question for staff. The applicant answered most of it, and I'm trying to be mindful of the nature of the development, but is there anything that would trigger a traffic impact study? Or has that been considered?
I think because of the nature of Hampton Road, it's assumed that it can handle that level of traffic. The development officer and I reviewed this file, and it wasn't brought up in any of our meetings as being a point of concern.
My turn? My first question is for Jennifer about the parking. You talked 79 parking spaces. I only get to 74. I'm 5 short. Okay. Your duplexes, you have 20, and that's 2, right? That's 40. And you have 9 one-bedrooms, and that's 9. And then 25 units by the apartment building. I've added that up. To me, it comes to 74. I've just lost 5.
I had 74 originally, so maybe
Yeah.
I invented 5.
Yeah,
Just
so
bear with me.
you have to have a bigger, adjustment.
Jennifer, did you count there is 2 spots for cars, one in the garage, of course, and one out of the garage,
Yes,
um,
that's 2.
for the garden homes. Yeah. And then one in each of the, I can't remember if Kelly said that we could put 2 in the one-bedrooms as well.
Yeah, that's 9 more, so that's 40 and 9, 49 and 25 by the apartment building.
I apologize. I'd have to go back home and count,
I've done that many.
and I don't mind doing that.
Trying.
Did you count the wheelchair accessible ones in front of the apartment building?
Sorry, what?
The wheelchair accessible spots?
You said there's 25 spaces
Oh, okay.
there.
Okay, yeah,
Hey, that's like 40 for the duplex, 9 for the singleplex, and 25 for the apartment building. That's 74.
70, yeah. I can go back and double check that. Actually, I have my design architect on speed dial. I can phone a friend and ask him if you like.
Where are that's other 5 for?
I just counted up around all the buildings.
Yeah, but if you do,
Two for the one bedroom.
yeah, but
Yeah.
only 1 for the 1-bedroom duplex. So that's 9.
The one bedrooms that each have one.
Yeah.
There's 9 of those.
Yeah.
The 2 bedrooms that each
There's
have 2.
20 duplexes,
Yep.
2 bedrooms, so each have 2, so that's 40, and 25 by the building.
25. I did it the same way though, Mark. Counted all the way around and I came up with 79, so.
Maybe they stuck another duplex or something in there, no, just joking.
This is plenty. Do you want me to call?
Anyway.
Kelly
that can-
from
that
Polyline?
can Be looked after. Just-
Okay.
Yeah, because that's not, just something you have to address, because if it is for 74, you need a bidder or reduction from the parking. That's all.
Okay.
That was my question for Jennifer. I do have a couple of other questions. Are the Old Solos house coming down, or is it set aside? The stone one sitting off in there, where Ken Solos lived,
Yes.
is being torn down?
Up until last week, we were going to try to keep it and use it for our caregivers to live temporarily. But I've had my project manager go in and go through the house, and it will probably be torn down.
It's too bad.
It's
has
in-
character.
It has beautiful character, but it is in great disrepair.
That makes me sad. I understand what you're trying to do there with this development, and I understand that. But as a senior,
Mhm.
if I move into one of those apartment buildings,
Yep.
right? If I still have my husband, I'm planning on not getting rid of him, right? As you age,
Yes.
you should have a bathroom and a half, because some seniors, when they have to go to the bathroom, they have to go to the bathroom.
I just had a Yeah, I hear you. I just had a discussion, and it's not just seniors that have that problem.
Yes,
I just had a discussion with one of my clients today because she wants to move in, and she asked if she could have a bath and a half.
yeah.
And I said that we would look at the plans, but the rationale behind that is the bathroom that's there now is wheelchair accessible. So it needs to be a lot bigger in order to accomplish that.
But it's to me, that's a problem. I
Right.
could put up with my husband sitting there, open concept, watching me do all the work, I guess. Not kill him, but the bathrooms, to me, there's different.
Yeah.
And the 1-bedrooms in the apartment building, we don't have a layout in there, so we don't know what they're going to look like inside.
Right.
How big it is and the measurements are there, but it was very faint, and I had difficulty with reading those ones. But you have that 1-bedroom apartment, a bathroom.
Mhm.
But what if your seniors have those scooters?
Yeah.
And can they get them into the elevator up to their apartment, or where do they park it in their apartment?
Yes, they will.
Because they'll take it out in the rain and snow.
Right. We haven't done a lot of work on the apartment building because that's in year 8, and lots of things change between now and then. So I don't have a detailed design of that, but they are all intended to be 1-bedroom accessible.
But would they have their each own individual laundry?
Yes.
Because some places they have the apartment buildings, but people have to share the laundry.
No,
'Cause-
that they will have their own.
And they should not be stacking.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Yes, I hear you.
Okay, we're short.
It's
We pee a lot.
it's
I'm sorry, but this is the way it is.
what was I going to say?
I guess these are the things that. I think
Yes,
about.
I know, and I love this feedback because our design's not finalized. We want to make it perfect, and the first year will help us do that, fix our issues. I forget what you said about the one bed. The one bedrooms will be similar to the one bedrooms in the community garden homes.
Okay. But they would be a lot smaller.
They'll probably be around 700 to 800 square feet. The one bedrooms with the garden homes are small as well, but we're trying to appeal to a wider range of people with income levels. So I didn't want to make them all 2-bedroom, 2-bathrooms, and then only a certain amount of people would be able to afford them. So I was trying to make smaller ones and bigger ones, and then apartments, so that people they can pick and choose.
Aging at home is a provincial program for keeping seniors in their home.
Yes.
You're aware, that's what it's called, I think.
Yeah.
And because my daughter she was public safety, always reminding me. To
Yes.
Take care of it. Anyway, but the thing is, yeah, I know you talk to seniors, and a lot of them don't want to move from the homes.
Exactly.
Okay, because they're very comfortable.
Yep.
And if you get a couple into a small area, can create problems too. You may have to bring in a hospital bed or things like that, so.
And the goal of this project is not to encourage seniors to leave their homes. It's only at the time when they can no longer stay there. So what happens at that point?
When they can no longer stay there, is
Right,
assisted
because of, and it could be, but it could also be this option because it has the caregivers there on site. It also has the accessibility of the house. It could be that your house is not amenable to having a scooter in it, or to having, you have to go upstairs to go to the bathroom. All those things play a part. So if you don't have the right house or the right income to be able to pay your property taxes, pay your maintenance, landscaping, snow plowing, all those things play into this decision. So we want to encourage people to stay at home, in their own home, as long as they can.
So if you are a senior and you just have your old age pension and guaranteed income supplement,
Mhm.
that works out to about $1,500 a month,
I think it's about 17 now.
17?
Yeah.
What would they have to pay for rent on a one bedroom? Do you know that yet?
I don't have those answers yet. I'm still getting development costs. And we are going to look to see if we could have some of the units subsidized. But they will be comparable to the rents that are now in the community.
That's the scary part.
I know.
Yeah.
But the cost of, I'm blown away by the cost of
Yeah.
what things cost today to get done.
Totally agree. But the word affordable drives
Yep.
me batty, right? $2,000 or $3,000 a month for affordable housing does not fit, right? So you have to look at your home and say, okay, if I have to pay $2,000 a month rent in that unit, what could I do in my home for $24,000? I can pay my property taxes, because you probably have to do your electricity and all the power bills.
Yeah.
So maybe cheaper because it's smaller, but you don't have to house insurance. I understand that, but it would not come up to $24,000 a year.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve the housing crisis. It's not going to solve the affordability crisis. It's just one option, an alternative option that we're offering.
And anyway, those are my concerns. Like, you have to ask seniors if a woman should be a bathroom and a half. you should listen to that. There's reasons why they feel that. And I think a husband and wife needs space, their own space. And my friend in Amherst, Nova Scotia, except it only has one bathroom. It's 2-bedroom. She's there herself. But you go in, there's a living area, go in through that, and there's a nice kitchen and a dairy in there. Straight through there, there's a sunroom. Beautiful. So if the two of you are living there, you can have your own space. Because as old people, we like our own space.
I truly appreciate that.
Sorry, Brent. I would say I'm an old person. Oh dear. Anyway,
Yep.
No more cash.
We will consider all those, but we also have to consider the price that it adds to it.
all right, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did have an opportunity during that to count all of the parking stalls. And Brenda to the rescue, there are 74 parking stalls. So the amendment, the variance requirement now is 19 and not 14, just for everyone's information.
Question for you, Jennifer. When we get to phase 8, will the apartment building, based on the motion that's going to go to council tonight, we get to phase 8, will the apartment building have to come back to PAC, or is it basically approved as of tonight?
And through you, Mr. Chair, to the committee members, a building permit application would need to be submitted. We'd need to vet it at that time to understand if additional variance is required. If it was presented today as is, the front yard setback would be provided, but
Okay.
yeah. At the time of permit, we'll better understand.
So that answers your question, but you get to kick the can again. So you get another kick at the can. Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Second time, anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Would someone like to put a motion forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Put forward the motion that the PAC support council in their decision to approve the rezoning from single to 2-family R1 residential to integrated development ID and approve a variance from section 6P2C of zoning bylaw number 038 to reduce the parking requirement by 19 parking stalls, a 7.5 meter front yard setback variance from section 9D1A of zoning bylaw number 038 in phase 1, a 5.7 meter front yard setback variance from the same section in phase 8, and a 12.5 meter variance from section 1.2.3A IA of subdivision bylaw number 035 to permit street widths of 7.5 meters with a hard driving surface of 6 meters for the overall campus, subject to the following terms and conditions. Number 1, a lot consolidation of PID 00251843 and 30240527 is completed through Service New Brunswick prior to the issuance of a building permit. Number 2, the project is reviewed by the Department of Environment to understand if an environmental impact assessment is required. A letter from the Department of Environment indicating their decision on the assessment is to be submitted to the town prior to the issuance of a development permit to the subject lot. Number 3, in the event that an EIA is not required, the landowner will provide to the town a hydrogeological study that identifies that the local well yield is of sufficient quality and quantity to support the density of development proposed, and that existing wells of adjacent properties will not be adversely affected by the proposed development. Number 4, in the event that municipal water services are extended down Hampton Road and can provide potable water service to the aging in place campus, condition number 2 and number 3 will be null and void. Number 5, the developer shall meet all the requirements of the National Building Code, the National Fire Code, and any other standards and regulations that may be required and revised periodically. The issuance of this notice of decision shall not exempt the permit holder from constructing in accordance with all applicable standards and regulations, and no approval given by the development officer or council will be considered an indication that such standards and regulations have been met. Confirmation from a qualified professional that applicable standards and regulations have been met may be required at the discretion of the development officer. Number 6, a revised site plan is received by the town prior to third and final reading, identifying the required 3-meter landscaped buffer along abutting R1 properties. Number 7, Street A is identified on the site plan. Street A, as identified on the site plan, is to be named Solos Place, and Street B shall be named Sunflower Crescent. All accesses within the campus shall maintain a 6-meter wide driving surface, and a 1.5 meter defined walking trail is identified on the site plan dated November 2024. The accesses shall be constructed at local road standards as found in the subdivision bylaw number 035. And number 8, the applicant enters into a Section 59 development agreement with the town prior to third and final reading.
Seconder?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman. Mark here.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion on the motion? No. Please vote. PAC will be sending a letter to the town clerk with this motion. Good luck with your public hearing next week.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll move on to item 7B, zoning bylaw text amendment 03-50 to include provisions to permit the development of dwelling units and detached garages. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee. I'm sure the PAC recalls reviewing this one time before, way back in, I believe it was July. Nonetheless, detached garage dwelling units, zoning bylaw amendment was approved by council. However, when it went for registration, legal counsel looked at it and thought that there should be more provisions, more associated with the detached garage and not so much as an accessory dwelling unit as the previous iteration was. So this is basically an introduction to the committee of the provisions that staff and legal counsel think should be included in our zoning bylaw to regulate detached garage dwelling units within the community. When it was introduced to council at the last council meeting, one of the councilors had a question about the side yard setback. Our recommendation was 3-meter side yard setback for several reasons. One would be fire separation. It would lessen the requirements for fireproof materials, etc. It's a living unit now. It's not just a detached garage. So having that 3-meter separation from a side or rear lot line and abutting property would provide more of a buffer for people. People listen to music in their homes, in their apartments. There's a bit more liveliness to an accessory building that would have an apartment in it than just an accessory building on its own. Or that was the thoughts of staff at the time that this was developed. However, I have gone through several of the zoning bylaws in the area, and it's determined that most locations, although they're not defined as detached garage dwelling units, they're often permitted in detached garages and called garden suites. And their setbacks are 1.2 meters to a side yard and 2.5 meters to a rear yard. And that repeated itself through several communities, Moncton, St. Stephen, Riverview, St. John. So it seemed to be a pretty standard thing. That may be something that the PAC may wish to weigh in on or make comment about to the council in your comments as they've requested. I have included the statements of public interest for for committee's review. One other little point, we have included a few housekeeping items as part of the amendment. A definition of accessory dwelling, an accessory building is a detached garage. Provide a definition for detached garage, update the definition for accessory buildings, and to revise language to remove the restriction of the number of stories. A dwelling unit and a detached garage, for all intents and purposes, will need to be located on the second floor. The main use of the building is as a detached garage, so that function would still maintain in the lower level. And we also wanted to revise the definition of variance to include development officer. As it's written in our bylaw right now, it says that variances are approved by the PAC, but we also want to include the development officer in that definition. And as I said, statements of public interest have been provided. No concerns have been received for this through the process, and I'm available for any questions the committee might have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions, members of the PAC?
Jennifer, just a couple of comments. These detached garages, it's on top of them, which should be your unit. What is, you have a garage with space on the back you want to add to for somebody to live? Is that a different category? Because these are with the upper level of the garage, right? But what if you have space and you want to add to the back of the garage? So that's on one level and you got your old people climbing stairs.
Thank
Just
you.
there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you
I'm
for the
feeling
question.
old- Feeling old to death.
1.5 bath.
It seems to be
With 1.5 baths.
seems to be a theme. Actually, the building code doesn't permit. It has to be separated. As far as I understand, in conversation with the building inspection department, that the unit would actually have to be located above, and that's for fire separation and the ceiling of the
But why
room.
not a firewall between the garage and the new unit?
Well, if the building code would permit it, I mean, I don't believe that it's restricted to the second story in any of the provisions, so if it's permitted by the building code, I can't see that it wouldn't be allowed. My concern is that it wouldn't be allowed by the building code from conversations I've had with the building inspection department,
But over top.
but over top is permitted.
That's scary. Yeah, anyway, just the other thing too that sticks out in my mind, and mentioned it earlier, talk about these things in approval with justice and public safety. What are you going to do if that name of that department changes? Is there a generic word you could put in there, like the department applicable has to be approved it? Like, don't give it a specific name, because they change all the time.
And through you, Mr. Chair, I understand your concern, because actually when I was writing the report, I said, Chrissy, what, have they changed any of the names of the departments? When will we be notified? So I understand your concern. It's something I can speak with the development officer about for future.
The lawyer can come up with a generic statement for all of the policies, that'd be great.
I will bring it to their attention.
Anyway,
Thank you.
that's it.
Actually, I have a question for Jennifer. Jennifer, when you were doing your research, you mentioned that St. John's 1.2, Moncton's 1.2. I'm assuming Rossay's in that vicinity too, is it? Do we have Rossay's setbacks there?
I checked Rossay's really late this afternoon, and it's escaping me at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry.
My question is from a developer's point of view or contractor's point of view.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's St. John, I'm sorry.
So you're saying basically St. John, St. Stephen, Moncton,
Moncton.
we review, they're all 1.2. Is there, we're asking for
3.
For 3.
Where our accessory buildings and detached garages ordinarily are 1.5 meters.
Right, so my question is there advantage for us to be standardized? When I say standardized, so that as a contractor, or if I come in as a contractor, I know if I'm building a garage in St. John, or sorry, detached garage with living accommodations in it, it's 1.2. I come here and all of a sudden I start building and I guess my question is, should we try to standardize the same as everybody else, so it's across the board at all, from a contractor's point of view?
Well, the contractor would be building off of a site plan that was approved, which would have to have the required setback as per our bylaw, unless a variance was granted. I think the concern was that detached garages that are currently in existence that do not have dwelling units above them, our setback, their required setback is at least 1.5 meters, so most people do what is required of the bylaw. So if they wanted to put a detached garage or an apartment above their garage, that they would be required to request a variance because it's already too close to the property line. I guess we have to sort of balance out the developments of the past, the developments of the future, and the comfort level that we want to provide our citizens.
Any other questions for staff? No other questions? Can we have a motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll put forward the motion that the PAC support council's decision to permit detached garage dwelling units in R1 and RU residential zones, subject to the provisions of Section 6W-2 zoning bylaw number 038.
Seconder?
I'll second
I'll
that.
second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kendall. Please vote. Motion carried unanimously. Move on to item 8, which is, can I have a motion to receive and file the 2025 PAC Council calendar, please?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brenda. Please vote. Motion carried. Item 9, motion for adjournment, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Brenda.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mark. Please vote. Motion carried. The December 10th PAC meeting is adjourned.